Welcome back to Study Time with Kat. This week it's English. I have to do an annotated bibliography. I learned what that was about 4 days ago. So I have what I wrote and then I have to redo my draft. So I have all of my documents except one that's 193 pages, which I'm just gonna keep on the computer because I'm not about to print that whole thing out. I have my favorite mild liner package. It's the blue one. So we're gonna use that. I don't know what I'm doing at all, like at all. So we're gonna listen to I'm giving myself an hour to do this. If I get into it and I need more than an hour, that's fine. But if whatever I get done in an hour is going to be good enough because this is going to be a draft, and if I overthink it, it's going to be shit. So we have what I have before. We have post-it notes. We have a pen. We have highlighters. And we have the s'mores Chips Ahoy because I found them and they're delicious and why not? Okay, like always, we're listening to Vivaldi because I hate Vivaldi. And so I'm more motivated to finish what I'm working on because I don't want to be listening to Vivaldi. Okay, so let's turn on the music. Goes on for an hour and work through this. Okay, so first I'm going to highlight the names of the authors just so that I can find what my reference is on my bibliography with all of my documents. Because as of now, I don't have that, like I don't know. We're looking for Barbara. Oh wait, this is a site. Okay, the reference citations I don't have. I don't think. Let me just double check that. I have more references than I do like things that I've put in my bibliography, and I'm not entirely sure how that happened. Okay, that is Bonnie Bird, Miller Joe, Dan Hubbard Burns. Okay, so Barbara Boughton isn't in there. That one doesn't really need to be fixed anyway. Okay, Gretchen Emery. I don't have anyone by that. I know that. Just went through it. Ronald M. Doctor. I also don't have that. Okay, citation, newspaper. Mays Nancy. Mays, comma, Nancy. I know I had that. I just saw it. Bonnie Bird, Spicer, Mays, comma, Nancy. Here we go. So let's start with this document. I got this off of ProQuest. It's where I had to acquire all my documents, which is shit because my topic is about movement therapy and how it can help deal with trauma, like how to deal with trauma using dance therapy. ProQuest was a search engine required by the school that I'm going to, and they don't really support the arts, so it was very difficult to find anything. So that's why most of my resources are like a page long. Okay, Mays Nancy, dance therapy brings out the unspeakable. What did I write about it? Absolutely nothing. Okay, we need to read this. Movements in individual and group therapy are not choreographed but are based on movements that therapy picks up from the details of body language of patients. Founded as a profession in, okay. So it was founded as a profession, which means my topic is valid since the 1940s. Highlight that. Trained professionals in the field have a master's degree in the specialty based on the principle that the mind, the body, and the emotions are interrelated. Okay, so this supports my argument that, what is my argument? My argument that dance therapy should be considered a legitimate form of therapy, both mental and physical, just as traditional therapy is. Okay. Therapy is often misunderstood by the general public. That is true. So that is a counter argument. So we have our counter argument, and I'm gonna put my argument in blue and my counter argument in red. Okay, so my argument, and then the counter argument is in red, and any neutral arguments are going to be in green. Okay. Idiosyncratic elements that tell the story of the experiences and the emotions that are stored in their body, which means they don't have to put words to it because words are difficult. Does study time help anybody besides me? Probably not. Okay. Susan Kleinman, that's a person. Let's highlight all of the people in gray so that if I need to, I can reference back to the people. People are in gray. Okay, here's the thing. Been using dance movement therapy as a treatment for those with eating disorders. That's just, it's calling me out on my own disordered eating, but that's fine. Except for the fact that it says, when was this published? 2015? Are you kidding me? Okay, we're just gonna skip that. not all eating disorders are due to the presence of sexual abuse. As far as I'm aware, and this is coming from a freshman in the psychology field, and I've only briefly touched upon eating disorders, but it's not caused by one thing. It's essentially caused by the patient's sense of lack of control, and they turn to eating disorders for their control. Whether that has to do with the trauma of a sexual abuse or not, one doesn't equate with the other. Okay, so not choreographed, but based on movements the therapist picks up from body language of the patients and then develops those movements, which allows patient to, this is driving me nuts. I need a different Post-it. Ooh, I can do smaller ones so I'm not wasting paper. And it can be the same color. Okay, well, I just got distracted halfway through that word, and so it's halfway off the page. But that's fine. Body language is a safe way to tap into the unconscious. Great, that's a great. This is what it looks like, by the way, when I take notes. I have my different color highlights, and then I have all of my notes and little Post-its. Then I can transfer those notes over to my annotated bibliography, which I'm still not entirely sure what it is. From what I can tell, it's like a summary. Like you have your citation, and then you have a summary, and then you have like response or position, which is like your personal response to the article and the article's position and how it would help support your thesis, and then an evaluation on how useful that reference is. Like some of these aren't useful at all because they just aren't, and I wasn't given a lot of options because I did this to myself. I chose this topic. I need a cookie. Hi. There are bugs outside trying to get in because I got light and they don't. Are trained to observe and analyze what the movements and the gestures of patients mean. That's important. It's not just like a dance teacher looking at people, it's someone who's trained. For babies, a therapist analyzes the breathing pattern and the tension in their body language. How do you, it's baby. Okay, it doesn't go any further into that, so I'm gonna highlight that one in red. I feel like it's kind of difficult with babies. I'm highlighting that in red because anybody who's like counter-arguing would point that out and be skeptical of that and point that out as a reason why the entire argument is invalid when it's just the one point. So I was actually writing a report, which I don't think I am. I think I'm just writing the bibliography. I would go further into this to see if it's like, I can't assume one way or another whether this is a legitimate thing with babies, but if I can research it and find arguments supporting that it is, then I can use that. But if I can't, then it's going to be a counter argument that I'm going to have to block. Can distract pediatric cancer patients from their pain and discomfort by helping them to be playful. I believe that. I've seen that before, not in pediatric cancer patients, but in physically disabled patients when I helped with their dance classes. Help the child stay engaged and focused without getting out of control or depleted. That's very true. It's healing for the parents too. I'm just gonna highlight that. That's a nice argument. Extremely versatile, used for people with special needs in rehabilitation centers, based on a universal language, meaning anyone can do it. Body language is our native dialect and we use to express ourselves long before we learned words. I'm gonna highlight that. I can't use that, but if like I was writing an essay or a report, which I'm not, which is upsetting to me. Okay, it's a good closing argument. Publication title, Chicago Tribune. That seems legitimate. Publication year, 2015. Section Health and Family. That seems odd, but also accurate. General interest, periodical, source type newspaper. Okay, so with that being said, how can I improve my annotated bibliography? Summary. What I wrote, the article covers the use of dance therapy in a psychiatric setting. Mays touches on the effects of dance therapy has on eating disorders and why it helps them. And that is all I wrote. Okay, so this article, it does cover the use of dance in a psychiatric setting. We discuss eating disorders, we discuss babies, We discuss pediatric cancer patients, special needs, rehabilitation, nursing homes and hospice care. Why do we do this? Dance is based on a universal language. There we go. Why it helps them, because dance is based on a universal language, allows them to express themselves and explore those feelings like traditional therapy when they find words to be difficult. So I've moved the notes that I had made on this that could apply to here over to here on my summary. There's still a few that just don't apply. Okay, response position. This shows that dance therapy is being implemented into medical fields already, which leads me to believe there are more studies out there, even if they aren't on the sites I'm required to pull on. I was upset at my teacher when I wrote that. So this paragraph supports, okay, so 1940s, founded in the 1940s. The article is positive towards the implementation of further dance practices. What else? Insistent that dance can help anyone because dance is universal. Evaluation. What I wrote. This article shows that dance therapy is used in a professional setting. It is rather unbiased because the topic... Is it unbiased? The author is unbiased. The article is not. The author is unbiased, but the people referenced are not. The date the article was published is not important because therapy is not a time-sensitive topic. The article has a medium. The article covers, okay, long list of, I don't want to say maladies. Long list of, what are they? I feel like maladies is my only option. Google, I need your help. Okay, what is a synonym for maladies? Synonym. Oh, illness, sickness, ailment, disorder. For different disorders? No. For different illnesses and disorders. There we go. That'll work. Long list of illnesses and disorders that dance therapy has helped patients. What does therapy do? It helps you sort through. Okay, well, we're just gonna call that that. So breadth is good, depth is not. Plus depth, no, because it was shorter. Wouldn't be able to use it more as a singular example. I'm gonna delete that sentence. Okay, who are you? Interlandi, Janine, how do you heal a traumatized mind? Is this my 90? No, it's not, here it is. Okay, read the article, it's 12 pages long. I want another cookie. Oh, that's fine, it can live down there, I'll vacuum. Bessel van der Kolk wants to revolutionize the way we treat PSD by starting with the body. Okay, that's something I can use. I need water. It's like a story. Demonstrate actual therapeutic technique. The subject, a 36-year-old Iraq War veteran named Eugene, looking mournful and expectant, which is unnecessary. I guess if you're in a New York Times magazine, you need to add like some kind of personal touch, but I feel like that's unnecessary, which this is a single, what is it? A single example. A case study, if you will, which is not scientifically significant. Cannot prove anything because it's too brief. It's one person. You have to study a whole bunch of samples out of your population to determine whether or not your case study is accurate for the whole population or if it's just the one person. Began with a personal anecdote. Eugene would recreate the trauma that haunted him most by calling on people in the room to display certain roles. He would confront those people and they would respond in character, and by reliving his history, he could work through his troubled history more thoroughly than other forms of role-play therapy might allow. Okay, so the physical aspect of it helps more thoroughly than other therapies. Okay, next paragraph. Known as psychomotor therapy, developed by Albert Pesso, a dancer who studied with Martha Graham. Never been tested in a controlled study, says, okay. Never been tested in a controlled study, says he's had some success with it in workshops like this one. Okay, so one developed by a dancer, and so has a base in dance and movement. Okay, but hasn't ever been anything more than a case study with this particular Kolk fellow. Eugene told us how he became to be a specialist in the United States Army, how he spent a full year stationed in Mosul, I don't know how I pronounced that, largest city in northern Iraq, how his job involved disposing exploded bombs. Ooh, yeah, I can see how that would be traumatic, yes. Oh God. Okay, hi friends. Hi friends. Okay, so he dealt with a lot of bombs when he was 26, and it was awful for him. Very valid. It doesn't relate at all to the argument that I'm trying to create. So we skip that. Okay, the traumatic experience, Eugene killed an innocent man and then saw the man's mother discover the body a short while later. Great. Tell us more about that. What happened? Fuck you. No, I hate it when therapists ask me that. Tell me more about that. Yeah, I don't know. No. Okay, anyway, my own personal experience. Can't use that, not scientific. Okay, witnessing them is the central part of the exercise meant to instill a sense of validation and security in the patient. Okay, so creates a sensation of being seen, being heard, being understood, which can be healing. Excellent. Okay. Eugene had already called certain people playing different parts. They were all part of a trauma and they were playing out this trauma. They're touching, which I hate. Psychomotor therapy is neither widely practiced nor widely supported by clinical studies. Something I should highlight. Developed by a dancer. Believes that dancers, musicians, and actors may have something, okay, to teach psychiatrists. I believe that. About healing from trauma, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he's written more, where did what color am I? Okay, green is the one for it's a fact. It's not a speculation. Okay, written more than 100 peer-reviewed papers on psychological trauma. So he is, like, trained as a psychiatrist. Okay, so we have our counter argument, we have an argument. Okay, so he is, what's it called? A valid source? What is it? He's a reputable and trustworthy. And then another argument, standard treatments are not working. Widely employed, cognitive behavioral therapy and exposure therapy are the most widely used techniques in healing trauma. I hate cognitive behavioral therapy because it's all about being able to identify what you're feeling and then work, or what you're thinking and then work on rectifying that. I have so many other people's thoughts going through my head that I can't determine which one's mine and which ones are other people's. So that doesn't work for me at all. And I've yet to meet a therapist who understands that when I say that, because every time they're like, oh, it's all you. Can you find the core thought? I'm like, no, I can't. And it's not all me because I don't think about half that stuff. Anyway, okay. Exposure therapy involves confronting patients over and over again with what most haunts them until they become desensitized to it. I hate that. He agrees with me. Among the worst possible treatments for trauma. Works in less than half the time. Desensitization is not the same as healing. A great argument. Similar view of cognitive behavioral therapy helps the patients recognize the maladaptive connections between their thoughts and their emotions. And trauma has nothing to do whatsoever with cognition. Very, very fucking true. Has to do with your body being reset to interpret the world as a dangerous place. The reset begins. It's not something you can talk yourself through. Excellent. Okay, so argues that BT and exposure do not work with trauma patients. It's not the first time has been there. What? In the early 1990s, he was the lead defender of the repressed memory therapy, which Harvard psychologists later called the worst catastrophe to befall the mental health field since the lobotomy era. Man, is that an insult? Oh, fuck. Argued that it was more likely for repressed memories to have been implanted by suggestive questioning. Yeah, very true. But, so it's a counter argument for, okay, so it cuts back this whole thing, okay, so it cuts back on his trustworthiness. I believe that traumatic memories weren't being repressed, but just being stuck. Body-oriented therapists embraced his message. The way to treat psychological trauma was not through the mind, but through the body. In insisting we do not discount the bodily symptoms of traumatized people as something that's just in their heads. Panic is real, folks. It affects your entire body. He talks more about who he is as a person, which doesn't matter to me. Okay, just more about how PTSD came on to be a thing. Traumatic stress triggered a cascade of psychological catastrophes that affected almost every major system in the body. That's a true fact. I don't know what it has to do with movement therapy, but it's not just, okay, so not just body, or not just the mind. The mind follows the body. A good argument. Trauma victims are alienated from their bodies. If we can help our patients tolerate their own body sensations, they'll be able to process the trauma themselves. So dance can allow one to feel connected with their body. Okay, 7 of 12. I don't know if I want to read this whole thing. Getting up, moving around through theater, dance, even karate. He overstates his case. There's less evidence for therapeutic tapping or theater or massage therapy than for cognitive. Okay, like none of his experiments can be trusted because of small sample sizes. Okay, oversimplifying neuroscience to support his clinical work. Testing a therapeutic technique is not like conducting a drug trial. It's very difficult to get large. You can't separate the therapy from the person using the tools. Okay, so that was long and half of it was completely unnecessary, but we've read it. So now we can add it to our citation, not citation, our annotated bibliography. Oh, I'm out of time. Excellent. I got through 2 of, oh, actually, I got through 2 and I only have 1 more. Great, that's not bad. My teacher isn't going to give me any kind of feedback on this, but that's fine. I'll give it to someone else who knows what an annotated bibliography is. My teacher doesn't teach. Okay, summary. Follows the treatment of one person in one session of, what are we calling it? Psychomotor therapy. It discusses the history of Kalk and Eugene patient. Response position. This article shows how in a single case study, it's not dance therapy, it's psychomotor therapy, helps with situations that are too painful or complicated to be simply talked through. Suggests while there's a basis for movement therapy to work with PTSD patients, difficult to scientifically prove this is the case. Kolk argues, and I agree, that movement may be more helpful in some cases than cognitive behavioral therapy, or what was the other one? Exposure. Evaluation. Author. Okay, case study. That was true. The case study makes it difficult to use in the broad general sense because it is a case study. Author goes in depth on Kolk and why he is controversial. Author remains unbiased. Small breadth, large depth, not time sensitive. I think even though I said I was going to be done, I think I'm gonna do the last article that I have just to get it out of the way. It's only 9 o'clock at night. I have the time, so we're gonna listen to it again. Bonnie Bird. And then I need to type this up because this I can't turn in. What, this, and this, can't turn that in. And then I have extra sources that I could just add that'll be another time. Bonnie Bird, here we go. I should probably number these. I'll do that later. No, I have two more. I have Bonnie Bird and then Ferris Christine, which I think is my long one. It is. Okay, attempts to look at dance therapy from research. Okay, so it was planned body awareness, self-awareness, body awareness, self-identification, positioning of self in space and time are found of importance in the struggle to cope with the effects of cultural deprivation, mental retardation, learning deficit, and alienation withdrawal. That is a good argument for. So there's a whole lot of different people who supported this idea. Mary Whitehouse. I'm not even gonna attempt that one. Andrew Ferber, Rod Rogers, and Judith Lynn Hanna. So there's a lot of like important names. This was in 1969. It might not be the most supported. Devoted to considering ways and means to integrate into specific research. Was just a planning committee. Okay, so that was really short. This one's gonna be real short. Okay, so summary. I hate it when they do this. Are we normal? Okay. Summary. So this article was about the workshop on dance therapy. There were many important names pulled, though the decisions weren't published within this article. Response. 1969, dance therapy was considered to be an important enough topic for there to be a national workshop for the research and implementation into mainstream therapy. So what stopped it is my question now. Okay, source does not explain the hows, the whats, or any general specificities regarding the ideas or decisions from the workshop. Breadth minus depth minus time minus, and then author or like reputation is good. Okay, that one was fast. Next we have Ferris Christine. So we're gonna skip that one and just go into typing it up, and I can do that tomorrow at work along with these. So now we type it up. I need to go check my printer. So I don't know if this has been the most productive of study times, considering there's only been like one other one. But an annotated bibliography, let's go over it just so that, I don't know what I'm doing, but just so that I kind of have like a general better idea. It's an annotated bibliography. You have a critical question, you have your thesis in response to your question, you have your citation, reference, or newspaper, or what's this one? Magazine. What's this one? I don't know. What's this one? Websites. So you have your sources, then you cite it, and then you summarize it, and then you put a response in it, and then you evaluate whether or not it is a good source. So now I'm going to type it up. And you don't need to be here because we've already done all the highlighting and the post-its. Thanks for coming to study time.